I'm about as close as I can get to the cattle without going into a giant mud pit. We did end up getting about 3 inches of rain over the last maybe about 24, 30 hours. We ended up getting about 3 inches of rain. I had a bucket sitting outside and it has about 3 inches of water in it. And the pond over here, the water's cleaned up, so that's fantastic. I don't know if y'all can see on the road, but the road goes downhill right here. It goes down. The elevation over on that side is lower than it is over here. So I don't want to get any closer because if I go that way, my tires might fill up with mud. And so I'm about as close as I can get to them. I took a real hard look at the calves this morning, and I don't see any sick cattle. I did go ahead and move all of the feed bunks in or near the preconditioning pen over at the preconditioning facility. I put all of the feed bunks in or near the preconditioning pen so that if it comes down to it, I can catch the cattle very easily and give them a shot of antibiotic if I have to. But I took a good hard look at the animals this morning. I had a couple of animals that were snotting up a little bit, that were snotting up pretty good. I had 3 of them this morning, but they don't look sick. They're not huffing and puffing. They're eating feed, and so I'm not too concerned. But I did just go ahead and move the feed bunks over to the preconditioning pens, the little pens that I got set up over at the preconditioning facility. I moved all the feed bunks in or near those pens to get the cattle. If I need to catch the cattle to give them a shot of medication, I can catch them very easily without scaring the animal. I can just feed them food, and when they're there eating food, I can just close the gate behind them, and then I can give the one that I need to get a shot, I can just give them a shot. But I don't think they're sick. I will keep a good hard look at, I'll keep good track of the animals and make sure they're not getting sick. I feel like the animals are doing okay. But my pond went from being completely empty to filling up halfway. That's how much rain. That's a way to understand how much rain 3 inches of rain is. 3 inches of rain is like a month worth of rain. All right, we got like a month worth of rain in a day. It rained a lot. Okay, but I don't think I have any sick cattle over here. None of the cattle are sick. I gave them food, and they're all stuffing their faces, and they got a bunch of clean water now. And so, yeah, here very soon, I would anticipate maybe in 2 weeks, I'll be liquidating some more cattle. Maybe 3 weeks. The animal that's I gave him the shot of antibiotics, and he looks like he's doing a lot better. It's been about 2 days on him, and so I want to give him plenty of time to just feel absolutely okay, and then I'll liquidate. But I have other animals that I can liquidate. But the two big yellow steers, they're starting to get pretty heavy, but I'm not too concerned about it. They're not going to hit the scale over 900 pounds. And even if they do hit the scale a little bit over 900 pounds, it's not that big of a deal. My whole thing is I don't sell sick animals, okay? I got other animals that I can take to market. I got other animals that look good. And if I ever, my whole thing is if I need money, I pay myself, okay? The thing about that's how I handle my finances, okay? I got a cup of coffee. I'm going to take a sip real fast. I'm going to be sipping my coffee. I got an early start this morning because I was ready to get out of bed because I wanted to check on my cattle. I wanted to make sure all the cattle were ready to go. And so I woke up real early and I got after it. And I'm already on my second cup of coffee. So, I don't think any of the cattle are sick. And just in case they do get sick, I moved all the feed bunks over to the preconditioning pen. So if I need to catch them, I can just feed them and just close the gate behind them real fast. And so, So the whole idea right now is to expand my business. It doesn't, and I've spoken about this all the time. I don't care about the price of the animal. I don't. All right. I'm not saying I don't care about the price. I don't, I'm not like upset when the market goes down and happy when the market goes up. Okay. That's actually the most reasonable way to put it. I'm not happy when the market goes up, and I'm not sad when the market goes down. I'm just okay all the time, right? I've spoken about this. I'm not like excitable, and I'm not like depressible, and I'm not, I'm just whatever. This is what I feel all the time. All right, I don't feel anything else other than this. I just feel okay. All right, The market could go down, I could care less. The market could go up, I could care less. Either which way, I make enough money. Even, for me to legitimately start losing so much money that I start having financial problems, I would have to lose 90% of my income. All right, I would have to lose 90% of my income for me to even start considering the possibility of not doing well financially. And here's the thing. Even if we do enter a bear market, even if the price of feeder cattle go to half, I will still make a metric boatload of money. That's the bet. And we'll bet, and I'll bet, and I told you so. All right, and this is also what I mean by when I talk about this stuff. I wouldn't bet against me. If you bet against me, I mean, that's not good, okay? I may legitimately have one of the best balance sheets on the entire planet. All right, legitimately, all right? I'm not anywhere near financial hot water. Not anywhere near it. Not even close, all right? I would have to lose 90% of my income to even consider myself in financial hot water, all right? Even if we enter a bear market, I will still grow my business. I will still grow my business, and it will be a lot, all right? Even if we enter a bear market, I will still grow my business, and I will still increase my income. I will still increase the amount of money that I make. And I'm actually still increasing the amount of money that I make on a monthly basis, right? Like right now, whatever, my debt to equity may be, whatever. But if I just wait, my debt to equity may be at 87.5%, whatever it may be. It's probably about 87.5%, something like that. And if I legitimately think my debt to equity ratio is getting out of hand, I can just wait. My cattle will get bigger, right? I'll have more stabilized animals, right? My animals will weigh more money, or will weigh more pounds, and I can reinvest the money. I can reinvest the profits that I make on my business back into my business, and that will increase my equity stake. I don't care about the price of feeder cattle. And I've been talking about this the whole time. If you're legitimately concerned about the price of feeder cattle, you're an idiot. All right? You don't want to be in a situation where you are completely reliant on the cattle market to make your money. Oh my God, this thing has to go up or I won't make money. You don't want to be in that situation. Oh my God, this thing is going to go up forever. You don't want to be in that situation, all right? You don't want to be in a situation where you legitimately are hoping and praying that the market goes up forever. You don't want to be in that situation. And you also do not want to be in a situation where if the market does not go up, you do not make money. You don't want to be in either of those situations, all right? I've talked about this a lot, and and as of recently, now I think more people will understand. And when you watch me run cattle, understand that I legitimately make so much money running cattle that I effectively outperform the entire economy. Not the whole thing, but I'm one of the most financially successful people in the entire economy. All right? If I had nothing, I could redo everything in 30 seconds. I don't want anything from anybody. You could offer me $500 million today and you go throw yourself into a hole. I don't care. All right? If you legitimately showed up right now and said, I want to offer you $500 million for this business and you're going to have to come along with this business, I don't care if you died. Take your money and throw yourself into a hole. All right? I have plenty of money. I already have so much money, I don't even know what to do with it. And the amount of money that I'm making is going up astronomically. The market could fall by 50%. Feeder cattle could go to $1.85, and I would still make money. A lot of money, all right? More money than I could ever reasonably use. I still anticipate that my balance sheet, the amount of money that I make, will still increase by over 350%, even if the feeder cattle price drops by 10% a month for the next 7 months. All right? I don't care about the price of feeder cattle. And maybe when I say it now, people will understand. More people will understand. When you watch me run my business, you need to understand that it just is what it is. Nobody cares about your opinion. All right? When I talk about these things right now, maybe it will make more sense to more people. When your life gets hard, that's when you find out. All right, nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna whatever until things get hard. Nobody will. Whatever, right? When things get hard is when you figure out who is who. Okay. And I guarantee it, I would be willing to bet 10 to 1, even if the price of feeder cattle fell by 10% a month for the next 7 months straight, I will still make more money. I will still increase my income. I will still increase my income drastically. There's a reason why I make such a large amount of money, right? The reason, and I will make money if in the worst market conditions that anybody could ever imagine, if that's what it comes down to. I guarantee it. I don't care if you died, all right? And when you watch me run my business, understand that what you are looking at is one of the best balance sheets on the entire planet. All right? I don't have any employees, it's just me. I don't have hardly any equipment. I have one truck and I have one tractor. And I have that tiny little trailer. All right? I have a small trailer. I'm not going to call it a tiny little trailer. It's just a small trailer. It's a good trailer. I can haul 10 animals in it, no problem. I can haul 10 small animals in it, no problem. All right? And that's enough for me right now. Very soon, maybe within 5 months, I would realistically anticipate that within about 4 months, I start paying myself about $25,000 a month. And every single month after that, the amount of money that I pay myself may actually go upwards. And in terms of a total income, in terms of the total amount of money that I make, I may start exceeding about $80,000 a month within about 5 months. I don't think I'll have any difficulty even doubling that. I don't think I'll have any difficulty going to about 2 million. I can probably go to about 2 million a year by myself. All right, and I've already said the whole thing about this, right? I've even discussed this whole thing. What am I looking to do with the business? I've spoken about this repeatedly, right? Along the way, I will figure it out. Up until about $2 million a year net, I probably will not have any issues. I probably won't. I can probably do it all by myself. I probably can, just about. I can do 98% of it by myself. Buy the cattle, take care of the cattle. I can, market the cattle, sell them. I can do all that by myself until I get to about $2 million a year, about 2 million. All right. But along the way, I will probably have to hire like a veterinarian at some point. I will be looking to hire myself a veterinarian. I'll even hire people to haul animals for me. I'll whatever, right? Because if I have somebody who can haul animals for me, I can have them take them to a sale barn, and I can go do something else, right? In those 3 or 4 hours, I can go and do something else, right? And I'll probably have to hire a veterinarian. But up until about $2 million a year, I could probably do it all by myself. I'm not looking for I'm not realistically looking for anybody to help me, right? Along the way, I will probably end up finding somebody. All right, I will probably end up finding a veterinarian. That's one of the big things I'm looking for. And if it comes down to it, I'll start paying people to haul my animals for me, right? But it doesn't matter to me. The price of feeder cattle is irrelevant to me. And maybe when I speak about this stuff now, it'll make more sense to people, right? Because the idea that this thing is just going to the moon is not going to happen. And you have to understand that I run beef cattle. Why would I want the price of beef cattle to go down? And I don't want for anything, right? I've spoken about this. I don't care what direction the price goes. It's not going to zero. All right? The price of beef cattle is not going to zero. They all go up and they all go down at the same time. What does it matter, right? If it comes down to it, if the price of cattle get very, very unbelievably low, I'll even consider buying myself a bunch of heifers and raising mama cows and starting a cow-calf operation as well. I would be willing to do that. If the price of cattle legitimately fall, like me, when I take a look at the corn market right now, I think that the corn market is so low that it's almost like the grain market is so low that it's almost like it's almost unbelievably low. All right, the grain market is extremely low right now. If that ever happens to the cattle market, and I think that the cattle market is extremely low, very low, like too low, I will go to the sale barn and buy a bunch of mama cows. All right, I will go to the sale barn and not buy a bunch of mama cows. I'll buy a bunch of whatever, 2, 3, 4 year old, 2, 3, 4 year old mama cows. All right, I'll buy a set of nice heifers, right? And put a good bull on them. If it, it doesn't matter what happens. I guarantee it, I'm not going to lose money. I would be willing to bet 10-1 that I do not lose money under any market circumstance. This whole thing could go down by 50% and I will still make a large amount of money. I would be willing to bet. All right? I'm not scared, right? I'm not concerned about this. If anything, it just is what it is. I've been warning about this for a long time. I've always said that there's a 33% chance that the markets go up, 33% chance that the markets go down, and 33% chance that the markets go sideways. It's effectively 100%, 33.335%. All right? And we've had 2 years where the market effectively just went straight up. Who knows? The next 2 years, the market may go sideways. In the next 2 years, the market may go downwards. That may be what we're headed to. That's 4 more years, right? That means over the next 4 years, the market may not even go upwards. Who knows, right? It may happen. Nobody knows. I don't know. Nobody knows. The market may even continue to go upwards. Who knows? But there, in terms of conceptually understanding the market, is that just understand that the market can move 3 different ways: up, down, or sideways. All right. And the market went up. We could enter a situation where the market goes sideways or the market even goes down. And even if the market goes sideways, or even if the market goes down, I will still make a boatload of money. This thing could fall by 50%, and I will just end up making an astronomical sum of money. I'll just go and buy myself a bunch of heifers, all right, and stick a bull on them if the market gets too low. All right, it doesn't matter to me. I've always said that the whole thing about running a business is to just sit there and take a look at the money. All right, you don't ever want, when you take a look at the numbers, money, it just is what it is. You don't ever want to be in a situation where you are financially going into the negative. And when you start making these plans, it's very, you probably should just keep trying at it, because chances are you're not going to get it right the first time. You may not even get it right the first 1,000 times, right? All of this stuff takes a long time to learn how to do it. A lot of this stuff takes a very long time. I've even said that if you're very fast and you're very committed and you're, somewhat intelligent and you are very committed to this, and you really get after it, you may get to the 10% mark in 3 years. All right? Because a lot of this stuff, it turns into like an exponential situation. It turns into an exponential type, growth pattern. When you start getting into a point where you can work 7 days a week and you don't have to worry about the money, and you're doing it, and you're, you understand how to improve your situation. You've taken a look at, you've systematically understand how to improve your situation, and you understand how to do that stuff. The results get much better on the back end. All right. When you're taking a look at me running my cattle ranch, you need to understand that I have one of the best balance sheets on the entire planet. I make so much money doing this. I effectively make more money than anybody doing anything. And I will still do that even if the market falls by 50%. The market could fall by 75%. I don't care. I will still make a metric crap load of money. If the market legitimately falls by 75%, if that happens, I will go to the sell barn and I will buy a bunch of heifers. I will buy a bunch of young mama cows. All right? I will start my own cow-calf operation, because eventually the price of cattle will recover. It's not going to zero. And if it begins to recover and the prices are that low, then I can make money, running a cow-calf operation, right? It doesn't matter to me. I learned how to run the cattle business doing the hardest thing in the cattle business that you could ever imagine other than running a dairy. I bring them in real small. All right. I raise them to a commercial standard and then I liquidate. All right. A lot of people don't bring in 200-pound cattle. A lot of people don't even, don't make money. A lot of people don't even make money to begin with in the cattle business. All right. And a lot of these people have ran away. A A lot of these people have ran. But if you're looking to be in the cattle business, now is your chance to see if you are worth anything at all. When things are hard, that's when you'll find out. The price of the cattle is irrelevant. The momentum of the market is more important. If this thing ends up going sideways and down for the next 5 years straight, that will be much harder on people than just flat out having the price of cattle be low. All right, if you legitimately want to figure out whether or not you want to be a cattleman or not, if you legitimately want to figure this out, no BS, right? Legitimately want to see whether or not you got anything going on in between your legs. If you want to figure this out, now may be your chance to do it. And I am telling you, if we enter a bear market, a legitimate bear market in the cattle market, if we enter a bear market, I will still make a metric boatload of money. That's all I'm saying. All right, when you watch me run my business, understand that this thing could go to $1.50 and I don't care. If it goes to $1.50, I'll go and buy myself a bunch of cows. I'll go and buy myself a bunch of heifers, a bunch of young mama cows. I'll go out and I'll find myself a good bull. And I'll enter the cow-calf operation. I'll start myself a cow-calf operation. I won't just run stock or cattle. All right? But we're going to figure out who's who real fast. We're going to figure this out real fast. A lot of people are swimming around butt naked. I guarantee it. A lot of people are absolutely freaking out and running away. I guarantee it. We'll figure out who's who real fast. Because nobody cares about an opinion, all right? Nobody cares about an opinion. We're going to figure out who's got what going on real fast, all right? We're going to figure it out. And, when stuff like this happens, you're going to see a lot of these people that call themselves men are actually going to turn out to be girls. All right? They're going to start throwing a pissy fit. They're going to run away. I guarantee it. All right? But if you want to figure out whether or not you belong in the cattle business, if you actually have, what it takes to be in the cattle business, now may be the time to figure that out. We may but who knows? The market may go up. Nobody knows, right? I don't know. Nobody knows, right? The market might go up. It might, right? Who's to say that the market just won't continue to go upwards in 3 months? Nobody knows, right? The inventory problem is still there. But if we do enter a bear market, eventually, but right now, the good thing about what happened right now is that I think it just kind of slapped people back into reality. It just made people consider the possibility that this thing does go downwards. It doesn't just go straight up into the right forever. Just consider that as a possibility. There is no crystal ball. Nobody knows what's going to happen for sure. This thing might continue to just go back upwards. Nobody knows. But just consider the possibility of things going downwards and think about being in the business for the long term. This thing might just go sideways too. Who knows? But things going downwards, things going sideways will be much harder than the price of cattle just being low. Because if the price of cattle is legitimately too low, it will probably go up. All right, the solution to low prices is low prices. Either which way, I'm not concerned about it. I will still make a metric boatload of money. I will still take a hot dump on the entire economy. Watch this. I guarantee it. I would bet 10 to 1. I'm not concerned about it at all. If anything, I'm more ready to go. I'm like, this is it. This is my chance. Right? When the market is collapsed, if the market is collapsing, I will grow my business by 500%. All right? If it happens, but I don't know. But nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. I will legitimately buy all the way down. The entire way down. If this thing goes to 75% negative, if this goes negative 70, this drops 75%, I will buy all the way down. And I will still expand the amount. I will still make more money. I will still increase my revenue the entire way down. And if prices get too low, if prices on cattle legitimately become too low, I will just start myself a cow-calf operation, because there is a realistic possibility that the price of cattle, if it's too low, legitimately too low, the price will probably recover and go back upwards. I'm not worried about it. All right? We're going to see who's who real fast. And it does not matter to me. The market could go downwards and I will still make a metric boatload of money. All right, this whole thing about, I guarantee it. All right, I would be willing to bet 10-1. I will not lose money on a single year over the next 10 years. Regardless of the direction of the market. All right, I would bet 10-1. I would bet, and I told you so. I'm not concerned about it. Let the thing fall 75%. I don't care. I'm going to be a cattleman forever. I make such a large amount of money. If I was legitimately to enter financial hot water, I would have to lose 90% of my income for me to even consider being in financial hot water. I would have to lose 90% of the money that I make. Here within about 5 months, even if this thing goes down by 10% a month for the next 5 months straight, if this thing falls 40% over the next 5 months, I will still have increased the amount of money that I make on a monthly basis. All right? I will still have increased the amount of money that I make on a monthly basis. The amount of money, whatever. Right now it's about $35,000. All right? It's about $35,000 here in a couple of weeks. Here in maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be liquidating more cattle. But the cattle that I got in the preconditioning space right now, I got a couple of them snotting up. And I want to make sure everybody's okay before I give them their vaccinations. And even if I give them their vaccinations, for me to give them their booster, which I would have to give them before I put them out here, right? That's the whole thing. I need to give them 2 rounds of vaccinations, that's what it takes to get them, fully vaccinated. It takes about a month. All right. So, even if I sold cattle, but if I have very good weather conditions, I would be willing to, add more animals to the preconditioning space. I really want to get them vaccinated before I, do whatever to them. Okay. Even if I bring home more animals, I want to make sure that they get vaccinated before I bring home new ones, because the ones that I have at home right now, they're all healthy. They're all good to go. Okay. They're all good to go. They're all healthy. I want to get them vaccinated. And I want to get them squared away. And, once they're squared away, I can bring them out here and then I can liquidate and, I can sell whatever, 5 or 6, and I can go and buy myself whatever, 12 or 14 more, okay? But I'm not concerned about the price of feeder cattle, all right? If you're legitimately in a situation where you go into the red because the price of feeder cattle fell by $200 a head, but that's effectively where a majority of people are. Okay, I'm not bashing anybody. That's where a lot of people are. Okay, a lot of people, almost everybody, if the price of feeder cattle falls by $200 an animal, right now at 9% loss, it's about $250 an animal that's effectively just evaporated. And and a lot of people have already gone into the red. All right, I would be willing to bet, I would be willing to bet that about 25% of the people, somewhere between 15 and 25% of the people have already gone into the red for the year already. All right, if the market does not recover at all, about 15 to 25% of the people that were in the cattle market, something like maybe about 15% will end the year losing money on their cattle business. All right. And so, but I mean, a lot of these cattle guys, they also got, they also run grain. They also grow grain. Okay. Usually, well, I mean, not usually. I mean, here in Texas, we don't grow much crop. Our number one agricultural commodity here in Texas is beef cattle. So, we raise a lot of beef cattle here. There's some cotton that gets grown here. Some people grow soybeans and some people grow peanuts. But, our number one agricultural commodity here in Texas is the beef cattle. All right. And, if you're in a situation where you went into the negative because of, 10% downwards, and who knows, this thing may continue to drop. Nobody knows. I don't know. Okay. I'm not here to fear monger anybody. I'm not here to I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm not here to, be malicious towards anybody. I'm just saying This thing, nobody knows which way this thing is going to go. And that's how it is for the market all the time, okay? Nobody knows which way it's going to go. You and your buddy pals definitely don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows, okay? This thing can go up, down, or sideways. It's not just going to go up forever, all right? That's just that. It just is what it is. And either which way, it does not matter which way the market goes. I will make a metric boatload of money. Either which way, it does not matter to me. For me to bankrupt, for me to even consider the possibility of bankruptcy, I would have to lose 90% of my income, and my income will still go upwards, even if the market falls by 10% a month. I would be willing to bet 10 to 1. I would be willing to bet, and I told you so. I would, whatever you want, I would bet. My income will still go upwards regardless of the direction of the cattle market. And this is also what I mean by when it comes down to it, I take a hot dump on the economy. Effectively the entire, not the entire economy, but I made it to the very top percentiles of the entire economy doing this. And regardless of the direction of the market, I will still make it. If I had nothing, I could redo everything in 30 seconds. Even if the market fell by 50%, 75%, I will still make money. That's my financial situation. And maybe when we look at it through this lens, it will make more sense to more people.